of the day's news. As we saw, the entire day today was consumed with the Maharashtra political crisis. The matter was no more political. It reached a legal turn. In fact, the issue was taken up in the Supreme Court with the rebel camp MLAs, Eknath Shinde and camp, reaching out to the Supreme Court through two applications, where they've challenged many moves made by the Uddhav Thackeray government. Basically, Uddhav Thackeray, his government, under who the deputy speaker had issued a disqualification notice against 16 rebel MLAs. So first of all, the question is why only 16 rebel MLAs issued a disqualification notice. That apart from that, the petition that was filed by the Eknath Shinde camp in the Supreme Court also challenged other points, like for instance, the deputy speaker himself, his position is in question because a no confidence motion was moved by the rebel Eknath Shinde camp, and that was struck down by the deputy speaker. That was also a point that was challenged as to how could he strike down a no confidence motion. A no confidence motion had at least 35 signatures of the Shiv Sena camp, rebel faction, and out of the 55, 35 is a clear majority. And since the majority of the MLAs said they wanted to move a no confidence motion against the deputy speaker, ideally should have been accepted. But the deputy speaker at that point, Narhari, had struck it down, claiming that no confidence motion paper with those signatures had come from an unverified email ID. So this was another point that was challenged in the Supreme Court. And then on the third point, the rebel MLA said the chief whip, who Uddhav Thackeray and camp has appointed, Ajay Chaudhary, basically that appointment itself is illegal, because to appoint a new chief whip of the party, you need to have the majority approval. Basically, the two-third majority has to approve on the chief whip. So on multiple points here, we're looking at the Shiv Sena, the rebel faction of the Shiv Sena right now on an advantageous position. So let me take you through what the Supreme Court said today. While the Supreme Court was hearing these points in detail, what the Supreme Court figured here was that there could have been, that the deputy speaker may have given out a disqualification notice arbitrarily. That this, again, there was no judgment that was passed, but here the Supreme Court, while hearing the arguments, has asked multiple questions. One is, why was the no confidence motion against the deputy speaker struck down? The deputy speaker can't be a judge on his own for his own ouster, right? So the Supreme Court has asked how and why did the deputy speaker strike down the no confidence motion issued by the majority MLAs. So they've asked the deputy speaker to find out and file an affidavit basically in response in the next 3 days. That apart, the big relief that comes to the Shinde camp at this point is that the Supreme Court has put on hold the disqualification proceedings against these rebel camp MLAs. So that comes as a big breather. And they put on hold until the 12th of July. 11th to 12th of July is when they've been given time for, of course, the Maharashtra government to respond, and then for the rebel camp MLAs to appear before the speaker and to maybe prove their strength in the floor of the House. So that time has been given for at least another week now. Till the 12th of July, they've been given time. So that more than a week, in fact, 10 to 12 days. While that said, we're also looking at the Supreme Court right now issuing a notice to Uddhav Thackeray as well as the cops of Maharashtra, asking them to up the security for the Shinde Sena MLAs. At this point, many of them feel that they are threatened. There are protests by the Shiv Senics on ground, and considering that their family members are right now, in fact, most of the family members are worrying for their life. Here, from what we see, the Supreme Court has asked the police of Maharashtra to up the security of the rebel camp MLAs with immediate effect, because they have claimed in an affidavit, in an application to the Supreme Court, that they are fearing for their life and they are being threatened by the original Shiv Sena under Uddhav Thackeray. So yeah, this also the Supreme Court has given Uddhav Thackeray 5 days time to respond to that. And why is there a large-scale protest? Why exactly is the Supreme Court not clamping down on? Why is the Uddhav Thackeray camp not clamping down on all the violence, despite the Shiv Sena members indulging in violence? The Shiv Sena as a party itself is not giving strict directions to the Shiv Senics not to indulge in violence. So there's no imposition of law and order, and this is also a question that's been raised. So multiple points here. A quick one, if I can round up. First of all, a big relief for the Shinde camp, as the Supreme Court has now stalled the disqualification process against them. Apart from that, the Supreme Court has told the Speaker, why don't you come back in 3 days, respond to us exactly why have you you, struck down the no confidence motion that was moved against you, and more importantly, the security, on the security part, Supreme Court has sent a notice to Uddhav Thackeray and the police saying, please step up security for the rebel camp MLAs because they feel threatened with owing to the protests, etc. Now, while that's said, we're also looking now at a big development with Sanjay Raut. Sanjay Raut is a poster boy of the Shiv Sena. ED summons has come on his name. So Sanjay Raut has already been in, accused to be involved in a land scam, which the ED has been investigating for a while now. But right in the thick of things, right when there's huge developments happening within the state of Maharashtra, here comes the ED summons against Sanjay Raut. So from what we see here is that while the ED is already investigating this matter, in April itself, the Enforcement Directorate has attached properties worth 1,034 crores in a land scam case. So this was already done, it's been going on, but today the summons that came in on Sanjay Raut really raised a lot of questions on the timing, etc. As expected, Sanjay Raut came out to say that this is just conspiracy against me, vendetta politics, BJP trying to arm twist me to try and, of course, withdraw support from Uddhav Thackeray and maybe join the BJP camp, which I'll never do. I don't mind being beheaded, but I will not bow down. This is exactly what Sanjay Raut has said. And yeah, so this land scam involves Sanjay Raut, his close aide, his wife as well. So the probe agency, the ED, claims that Sanjay Raut's wife, Barsha, and family members and associates who are part of a construction major, HDIL. In fact, they connived and sold state housing body plots, the state housing body plots, and floor space to private developers. So the ED says that these private developers illegally sold flats to buyers, and the total proceeds of this entire crime amounts to 1,034 crores. So it's a huge money laundering and misappropriation of funds and some kind of these allegations of corruption that have now risen, which Sanjay Raut is said to be involved in. Now, what is the depth of his involvement or his family members' involvement, that only time will tell, but ED has now issued summons against him. Now, while Shiv Sena has been harping that this is basically nothing but arm twisting tactic, there are other MLAs also who are facing similar ED cases. Sanjay Raut now in this Patra Chaul land scam case, in the latest that's come about. Anil Parab has also been facing ED case with a money laundering case. He's right now being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate, has been summoned multiple times. Nawab Malik was also imprisoned in a money laundering case that was linked to Dawood Ibrahim. He's currently in prison at this moment. Anil Deshmukh, who's also in prison, Maharashtra's Hafta Gate. There were allegations made by Sachin Waze where Sachin Waze was a cop in the Maharashtra police where he accused Anil Deshmukh at that point, who was a Home Minister, of taking hafta of almost 100 crores, etc. from areas and pubs and bars, etc. So yeah, all these 4 MLAs, all belonging to the Maha Vikas Aghadi Union, all of them have ED summons on them and they are being investigated. So Shiv Sena, obviously these are serious allegations, but Shiv Sena is saying this is tactic to arm twist us. There are other MLAs also who are facing ED cases, but they're not being summoned. The moment you jump to the BJP, you're somehow all your crimes are whitewashed and then you get away. So allegations like this, BJP obviously steering clear of this entire controversy, saying that we have nothing to do with it. It's the ED doing its job, and you can't question them on the timing of it. The timing is insignificant. It's the case and the corruption that the ED is investigating, which you can't raise questions against. So yeah, that's that. Now it all comes down to the numbers. At this point, with the Shinde camp, with the majority numbers that they have, let me tell you the numbers. The number game at this point stands very well in the favor of the BJP and the rebel camp if they come together. So right now we're looking at the Shiv Sena, which is under Uddhav Thackeray. From 55, their numbers have gone down to 16. They barely have 16. Apart from that, BJP of course stands firm at 106. NCP's intact numbers at 55, Congress is at 44. So if you see collectively, the Maha Vikas Aghadi had about the alliance together had about 168 odd numbers. Now with the rebel MLAs pulling out support and even about 9 to 12 independents also joining the rebel camp, now if the rebel MLAs, who now amount to close to 48, I'm saying 48 because there are 39 Sena MLAs and there are about 10 independent MLAs. If at all 49, say for example it's 49 or 50, because they are claiming that it's 53, say it's 50. The rebel camp has 50 MLAs with them. 50 plus 106 of the of the BJP easily has a good majority, way above 144 mark. So we're looking at least 156, which the BJP will boast of with the help of the rebel camp, which is the majority mark, remember, is 143. So 156 is a comfortable majority. They can easily come to power. It's just about time that they actually stake claim. But now the actual contention or the confusion for the rebel camp is that they don't want to merge with the BJP, because then that will go against their entire narrative of being true Shiv Senics and wanting to work on the ethos of Bala Saheb Thackeray, etc. So a merger could be suicidal. But if not for a merger, then what's the next option? That they would want to be recognized as a separate party altogether. They want to be known as the Shiv Sena. And they've already given a name to themselves, Shiv Sena Bala Sahib. That's the name that they've already given to themselves. They're also going to be fighting for us, for the Shiv Sena symbol, etc. So yeah, so these are attempts that the rebel camp is making. Now it all remains to be seen if the election commission and the required parties here, including the governor and etc., will actually recognize them as a separate party altogether. So yeah, that's most of what happened today. Thank you very much for watching.